Let me introduce myself. I'm Kiran Aluka, and I'm from Siemens Technology Services located in Bangalore. It's been 15 years I'm in Siemens, and I'm part of open source program office. First of all, I wanted to thank Linux Foundation to organize its first OSS summit in India, that too in Hyderabad. So yeah, from last 2 days, we enjoyed a time here. Its rich culture and the flavors of Hyderabad we enjoyed. Yeah, that's all. Over to you, Sudhakar.
Yeah, good afternoon once again. Thank you so much, Kiran. This is Sudhakar here, Siemens Technologist. So I've been with Siemens for last 2 years. So before we jump on to this today's session or a presentation, I just want to ask how many of you are aware of what exactly is Open Source Program Office? Great, sir. Great. Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Less number, but still great. I have something something common. So how many of you are aware that what exactly OSPO manager does in a day-to-day activities? So there's always this gap between understanding okay, what exactly OSPO manager and what he does in day-to-day activities. So to sum this gap up, that's where OSPO manager, he bridges this gap right from inception of your project to your delivery, and what are the complaints that follows through in this, and that is a primary job of OSPO manager. And secondly, it's not about just compliance thing, it's also building a culture wherein developers interact more with open source community, and even to engage with the open source community you need a OSS manager. So that's what the primary role of OSPO manager, not just sticking to license compliance, checking licenses. It's all about building that culture. So OSPO manager has role to play right from your startups to your enterprise applications or enterprise organizations. So anywhere without OSPO manager, you run into a lot of legal compliance checks. So we'll just talk about or brief about it going forward. So these are some of the key challenges OSPO manager in his everyday activity he hears from developers, which is the legacy code. Hey, do I need license compliance for this? Can I install any open source software if I have local admin rights? I don't have any budget for compliance. See, because when I say budget, it's more of a resource planning. I don't have any budget for OSS compliance. I have copied code snippet from internet which fulfills my project requirement. Is it fine? OSPO process is delaying my release. In case of deviation for license compliance, what do I need to do? And the latest one, which we always hear about this, can I use AI-generated code in my code base? Can I contribute my code to community? My project is a POC, we don't have enough budget. Do we need to perform license compliance on this? I'm using containers. Do I need any compliance for that? In case of handover or merger acquisitions, I don't know what is inside. How to deal with this? Do transitive dependencies impact my project? Can I get any early indication with respect to any risk in my, or risk with respect to end-of-life components? So these are few, most of key challenges which we experience, in a day-to-day activity in our organization. So how are these have been captured? And what exactly is open source programs? Though, we have a, crowd to understand what it is. So it's basically open source office is a team or a structure that manages and coordinates organizations' open source strategy, its policies, activities, ensuring legal compliance, security, and effective engagement with OSS communities like Linux Foundation or any events that's happening with respect to open source. So the OSPO manager plays a very key role in all this thing. This is all about OSS and why. So that's the main important question of why we need OSPO manager. Let's assume this is your product. The top, it's a product. So we all know that in one of the good service, most of our products which are shipped outside organization, 30% of the code will be a proprietary code, and 65 to 70% it's a third-party software or any OSS components which are available freely in a market. So with respect to third-party software, we declare, or developers or those, so these are declared OSS components. I mean, developers are aware that, okay, hey, you know what, we are using these components to build this particular project, or we are procuring few commercial components like iChat.js, certain, commercially available, both open source and available. So where developers are already aware of it, that, hey, we are using these components in our project, and binary, tools. But when it comes to proprietary code, we don't know what are the code snippet a developer is being copied from an internet. This is a very, very critical part wherein even developers not aware of it, or developer doesn't reveal it when he has to, publish its SBOM. So undeclared components, again, undeclared, even developers say, especially with the legacy code, though we don't have any package managers, there's so many libraries which are existing in our code base, even developers are not aware of it. So OSPO manager takes care of these two categories, right from your proprietary code and third parties. Third parties, anyways, everybody does it. But with respect to proprietary code, it's a very, very critical part for any business to make sure that, okay, hey, what are all the third party snippets? Because we know with respect to third party snippets, developers copy code from left, right, the center, from your Stack Overflow to Code Guru to any personal blogs, where the owner will clearly mention that, hey, you know what, you can use my code only for internal purpose or for educational purpose, not for your commercial use. And definitely developers, like the newest developers, they're least bothered about, okay, how to give a contribution or attribution to my original authors. So this is a key aspect which OSPO manager comes into play. So what if I don't follow OSS compliance? What's going to happen? What if I don't follow OSS compliance? The first is, you may not be able to sell your products. If at all you're selling any commercial products, in US, even in India. So you need to have, you cannot sell without OSS compliance on your product. Loss of IP rights, making your confidential code public. So especially with reciprocal licensed code, wherein you cannot make a commercial out of it unless and until you adhere to the license obligations, or as I mentioned, any snippets or any piece of code like 4 or 5 lines of a code wherein a developer has copied without giving any right attribution, you might lose your IP rights of your product, making your confidential code public when you use your reciprocal licenses like GPL, AGPL. So next is the financial reputation license. So we heard about a lot of cases wherein companies using open source components and getting sued from a maintainer. Hey, you know what? You did not share the source code, because one of the strict license obligations from GPL is that the end user or the next user are supposed to receive the source code. But the famous example, like most of us are aware of it, with Linksys, Cisco Linksys product, wherein they used a GPL licensed component, but Free Software Foundation has sued Cisco for like undisclosed number with respect to financial. So wherein Linksys finally has to release their source code into the market. When I say market, open source community, and also they have to pay for the reputational damage they have done to the community. So this is what it happens when we don't follow OSS compliance with our products. Security risk, as I mentioned, if there's any open source vulnerabilities in your libraries which have been integrated, this again, it can affect. The famous example would be our Log4j, which happened a couple of years back. Like entire world was running behind Log4j, how to mitigate that, and literally Apache team literally worked really hard to get a patch for that immediately, because that was a huge attack with respect to Log4j. So security attacks do arise from your open source libraries. So software bill of materials, like this is mandate to give your product to any of your end customer. So all the governments have regulated that, hey, every product which leaves out your organization has to contain SBOM. So it's mandatory due to various government regulations. Yeah. So Kiran, hand over to you. Sorry, sir. Yes, definitely, especially from OEMs. With respect to OEMs, getting SBOM has become a really tough challenge, because as an organization, we have mandated that any vendors, providing us any with respect to small components or features. So we made it mandatory to get a SBOM, and we do our compliance check on that.
One is getting is difficult. Second challenge is the regulation state multiple fields which are not available in the standard SBOM format.
Yeah.
So even if you take Cyclone DX or SPDX, those fields are not available in the SBOM. So, somebody needs to go and tell the regulator saying that this is practically not possible, or come at a, center meeting to get it addressed. That's a big challenge on hand.
Yeah, it is.
So how are you guys handling it?
So basically, at least we have regulated with respect with our OEMs. We mandated okay, any product which is integrating with our company, but we need to have SBOM of you. So the first thing is that we mandated that at least from organization level we have mandated that we need an SBOM. And second thing, once we receive, because usually if it is a binaries, yeah, we only go with whatever SBOM they've shared. But if it's a source code, definitely we do our compliance check on that.
Are you able to get all the fields that have been put by the regulator in the SBOM?
No, I'm talking about the SBOM with respect to the components which has been used in the product.
Yeah, one more thing. We have simplified the Cyclone DX 1.6 version format, and the minimum elements which are required. So we have ensured that that has to be given by the suppliers and vendors.
Okay, we will connect later on.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
There is one European Cyber Resilient Act that is going to be enforced by next year end, 2000 CR, I think So because of that, I think we see a change in the way that organizations are working in related to getting the SBOM information. I think I understand. We are adjusting to that. Yeah. I think it's a mandatory act, and we are going to see huge fines if you are not following. So maybe there will be a change in the mindset. But yeah, I'm from Qualcomm, and we do see a lot of problem areas with respect to getting the legacy codes SBOM information. So yes, it's a change in process. So hopefully we see a comprehensive SBOMs in future, maybe after that mandation of.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, it's in the same one, right? Yeah. Great.
Yeah, thanks for your question. Yeah, let us continue on. Let us see what are OSPO manager responsibilities, right? So in any organization, the first thing is organization should establish a strategic open source policy. So which encompasses different dimensions of open source consumption, collaboration, the license database, license obligations as within the policy and the governance of it. After that, the OSPO manager has to establish the right processes. So he has to frame the different processes, the workflows for the OSS compliance. And once that is done, now it is the time to evaluate the different tool chains suitable for their projects, for their environment. Okay, so then alignment, yeah, so those tools should be aligned to the project milestones. So in different businesses will have different projects with varied delivery times. So the tool should enable that. And optimization of the tools. So like in a bigger organization, larger organization, there is a scenario where different businesses they work in silos and they use different tools. So as an OSPO manager, he has to connect everyone, optimize all the tools, and also provide support in cutting the costs. Then so now comes the awareness sessions for the development team. See, usually developers, they are aware that OSS usage is mostly for speeding up the productive work and delivering the products, but they are not much aware of what are the obligations, what are the risks if the open source software is not used in an appropriate way. Okay, so there should be different awareness sessions required to the development teams. And so the OSPO manager has to publish a dashboard, a metrics for the different segments, what is to know the real-time information of how their business is doing, what is the risk posture with respect to license and security. And so as we discussed just now about the SBOM. So for every delivery, there should be a SBOM to be shared along with the software delivery. Then comes the open source, like contributions to the open source, to the outside open source projects, how the organization can contribute, and if there are any internal projects, how there should be a mechanism how to contribute, which license to use for releasing these internal projects to the open source. And yeah, OSPO manager has to connect to the in OSS communities to understand what are the best practices going on in different organizations and bring it back, and has to work for the within the organization. And the inner source is to be promoted in order to have a reuse of the products within the different segments. Yeah, coming to the there should be a component database, OSS component database available within the organization, where any developer community, they can just go and check whether they can use this licensed OSS component or not, or is there any risk. So especially in our case, we have created a OSS catalog where the license risk, security risks are readily available, and we can also give the suggestions about, recommendations about, if this is a risky component, you can go with an alternative permissive licensed component. And one more thing, like if it's evident that OSS components, once they are familiar, some the vendors will try to make it commercial. So in that, if there are any license changes, so we have to identify who are the impacted users and alert them, and we have to support them. And this is a very important section. As an OSPO manager, he has to liaise with the legal team. If any new software is a very restrictive software is used, how it is used. So the OSPO manager will connect the engineering team with the legal team to understand the use case and take the necessary actions, and even to the security teams as well. And according to OSS compliance, OSPO manager can define the different roles and responsibilities for the project teams. So let us see some of them, like a project man. Yeah.
Small question,
Yeah.
sorry. You mentioned about the component database, right? So I understand that as an inventory, isn't it?
Correct.
So what tool are you using for building the inventory, open source inventory?
We have SW360.
Okay, so that includes the libraries being used plus other open source artifacts also? Could be like the freeware and other stuff and infrastructure? Okay. And second question was on your previous slide wherein you mentioned code generated using AI. So how do you take care of license compliance for code generated using AI? Because there could be smaller code snippets and not the entire library being used,
Correct.
which could lead to a compliance issue. So how do you handle that?
So we use some code snippet match tools, okay, to identify any code snippet match with OSS components. So based on that, we have a code audit experts within our team, and we will identify the original source of that code snippet and see who is the original author of that snippet, what are the copyright terms, what are the licensing terms. Accordingly, we will provide our recommendations on that. Be it as Sudhakar mentioned, be it the code copied from internet or generative AI code, if it is matching, so we take it in the similar way. Yeah.
Wonderful. So I'll speak with you on the tools that you use.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
interesting.
I think he has another question.
You did mention about the generative code, right? So identifying the origin of the generative AI is very difficult.
Yeah.
So how do you identify, I mean, how do you conclude that? But if it is generated using the copilot or something, definitely it's very hard to get the origin. Okay.
Yes, verbatim copy. Sudhakar, you can come and speak because others cannot listen.
So as I mentioned, it's a verbatim copied code, right? What you mentioned. So usually any tools like your GitHub Copilot, it just processes the data available in the market and it gives you a code. It's built. So whenever there's a verbatim copy of this code, I mean, GitHub Copilot claims that 99% it's, see again, the legal check on this generated code, right? You cannot get IP of this code. Right? Because copyright can only be eligible if there's a human intervention to that. Every code which is generated by any of your copilots or AI tools, you cannot copyright that on your organization's name. So that will lose your IP rights of that code. Yeah. So now it's a test. So we make sure that whenever we do that, if there's a verbatim, say first is a verbatim, we check the verbatim copy of it. If there's exactly matching, we flag that. Okay, you know what, you use this code. This is the source. When it is only the generated code, we don't allow that to be moved into the production. Because we want a manual human developer to add something to this, to make that, okay, you know what, there is a human brain which is involved to write this code.
Yeah, but right now we didn't find any such tools available, right, for the generated code matching in the market right now. Though it is a black duck, though it is a FOSS ID, I think still it is not mature enough to identify.
Exactly, you're right, absolutely right. It's not still matured enough, but again, experts' inputs are always, better tune that.
Stay here only. Yeah, we'll talk offline. Okay. So, yeah, let's continue. As I mentioned, the OSPO managers will define the roles and responsibilities of different persons in, right? So, the project manager, so as per OSPO expectation, so the project manager should add the cost to the OSS compliance for all the releases. And suppose if there is any handover of any project, new project to the project manager, so they are not aware of the what is there inside, right? So whether it is a commercial license or OSS software, what is mentioned. So they have to touch base with the OSPO team to go for further. Then expectation from Scrum Master is they have to add the tasks on OSS compliance activities. So so project team can nominate project representatives, 1 or 2 members from their project, and they can connect with the OSS team for all the about requests for compliance check, the audits, and even the obligation check meetings. Because all the obligations should be fulfilled before they release the product. And finally, the quality manager is also important. So they have to define where the OSS compliance activities are involved in the project life cycle, project milestones, and they have to validate the checkpoints. So now we will just quickly go through our OSPO journey. So as I mentioned earlier, the policy document for us in 2010, it got published. It's called Circular 135 for the use of OSS and third-party software. Then we started off with, once the policy is done, we started off with identifying the tools, and we started clearing the OSS software. Then we also started working on code scanning using different SCA tools. In 2012, we started contributing to the Fossology software, Fossology project. And in 2016, we started contributing the SW360. And in 2019, that package managers support we are giving with respect to OSS, the direct dependencies, the transitive dependencies, its security vulnerabilities, and the license risks. yeah, a lot of automations have been implemented to handle all the requirements by different projects. And yeah, inner source promotion also has been done. So we have an internal GitLab called Siemens. So our business units will regularly use. And the coverage is yeah, based on our awareness and ensuring that it is part of quality gates. We achieved 99% coverage. And even the AI ML, we also have this AI policy, generative AI policy by 2023, something like that. And yeah, so now in 2025, yeah, so the current team is like, we are over 14 years of experience. So we have around 60 plus experts, and we are offering not only the Siemens business units in different geographic locations, but we are also capable of doing end-to-end compliance for external organizations. Now, yeah, so we'll quickly try to complete the session. Yeah, let us see how the OSPO manager drives the organization's success, right? So the OSPO manager supports in maximizing the OSS strategic value by reusing the existing OSS components and faster time to market. OSPO manager ensures the OSS license compliance by OSS license obligation check and other security issues. Then OSPO manager can ensure the global regulation, that global organization can have global regulatory compliance, especially like emerging regulatory trends like EU CRA, US executive order, and other things. So additionally, OSPO manager supports development teams for quality software by introducing all the required tools, the guidance policies, and so on. And finally, the OSPO manager promotes the culture of OSS creation and collaboration and make the organization OSS leader. Okay, so in the interest of time, I'm just quickly just sharing these slides. I already shared the slides in the shed.com. So it is about the iteration stream, everyone knows. So if you add the all the compliance activities, like you see here, OSS compliance, ECC check, patents, and other things. So these all are required. This is the compliance stream we follow. So adding the compliance stream topics as a requirement backlog will enable the project teams for allocating resources and efforts, right, without any slippage of the milestones. So in any organization, you will have, yeah, you can integrate the OSS compliance with project milestones. So, yeah. Then, yeah, this is important. As an OSPO team, so the OSPO manager has to perform multiple tasks, and there should be a tracking and monitoring is required. So just like as an example, you can see introduction of implementing new tools based on the requirement. So this is an early risk indication tool implemented in-house. The metrics projection, as I mentioned earlier, the OSS usage. So we have this whitelisting and blacklisting of components, and we provide the automatic suggestions to the teams. And yeah, external community connect, it is very much required to understand the best practices across different organizations. Yeah, internal, so we have wiki pages for updates to the entire organization with respect to OSS and security risk. Then, yeah, we provide, if any license changes are there, we update the information and so on. So, yeah, that's all we have. Any more questions?
Kiran, you mentioned about the milestones, right? Exactly when do you go for the scan or the audit?
Okay. Yeah, this is example within our use case. So in our organization, so yeah, so project milestones will be different for each organization. They define themselves. So we request project teams. See, suppose you see here, any product will have multiple OSS components, in-house developed components, and inner source and so on. So as soon as any project, any team, they add any component that they identify, okay, we wanted to use this, so they can reach out to the OSS clearing team to get that clearance done. So we do file level clearing, right? Then we generate the clearing report, and further the readme, all the components called the readme OSS. So that is the final document at the end. So you will have it here. And even once the different sprints start happening, once the development happens, we will ask the teams to get it, perform the audit. So OSS team will perform the audit and identify if any risks are there. So we identify code snippet matches, any risks related to direct dependencies, transitive dependencies. So initially we started with certain thing, but now we say as and when required, like frequently we request the teams to do that. I didn't understand.
The 5-layer checks you do, you mentioned, right? What are those 5-layer checks?
No, I said file level clearing. Yeah, so if an file level clearing. Okay, okay.
Obsolescence is a big issue. Many of the communities, they don't require end of life or end of support.
Correct.
That's 10-year-old still running fine, while there will be new versions available on the market. So how do you handle all this?
So we have an internal tools connected with NVD, NVD database, and our own investigation, and we provide that database. So we provide the end of life and by when a component is going to be end of life. So the lifespan. So based.
So you're okay with something that's 10 years old, because there's a legacy and come out, but you're okay to use a 10-year-old. Yes, because the legacy code still works well, especially the legacy code. Respect to the recent developments, yeah, we do have a little bit say, coming the page of this component of development, that's where that's to. But the legacy code, still it's because there are also the enterprise system that is using, it's built in legacy codes. So technology will become the same products are available.
Okay, everyone, thank you for your patience. And yeah, so we can have a offline session because another session has to start. Thank you very much.